Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time clicking on a video, my name is Talya. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can become part of the TN family today. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time I post a freaking video. Go ahead, and if you can hear the heater in the background, I'm so sorry. It's sitting right next to me because my room is freezing. And in today's video, it's going to be a little bit different. Usually I always put out weekend vlogs for you guys, but honestly I wasn't working this weekend and my fiance was helping my uncle move. So I was really just doing a lot of resting, and I just did not pull out the camera this weekend. I do apologize, but I am doing a sit down video that I have been wanting to do for a while now. And we are going to be talking about today, what disease do I have, what medical problem, how I got it, when I got it, the symptoms, the cures, surgery, and all of that. So if you guys are ready, let's get into the video. Now, there is a lots of details to the video. I'm hoping that it won't be too long, but go ahead and grab your popcorn, your snacks, and let's just do a little sit down video. So I don't really have any notes or anything with me, so I'm just going to try to go off memory as much as I can. I tried to turn the heater off, but we'll see how long that lasts before I freeze to death. So we will start with, I'm already freezing. Okay, so we will start with, in my childhood days, like when I was born all the way through when I graduated high school, I was fine. I had no medical issues. Like, I was just a normal, happy, healthy girl like anyone else. My life was normal. I was not on any medication. I was just happy-go-lucky, normal. And you always see people with like medical conditions and like really sick, and you never think that that's going to be you. But don't take any moment for granted, because looking back on it, like, I will never be fully normal again. So that's just like a little, you know. But anyway, so 6 months exactly after graduating high school, I found out that I was going to be a mom. It was obviously very shocking. It was not planned, but I'll do a whole separate video on that. But obviously I was going to keep my baby. So my pregnancy was okay, I guess. I had a bit of a hard pregnancy, but it really had nothing to do with what caused this. The pregnancy didn't. The labor has everything to do with this. So, and I don't want this to freak you out if you are a pregnant mom at home, or, you know, watching this and you're about to go into labor. I do not want this video to scare you. So you might want to exit out, and then when you have your baby, you can come back. But just a disclaimer, this does not happen. It is very, very rare. And there is a reason that it happened like it did. And I will get to that when we get there. Okay, I'm sorry guys, my dad called. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, so at my doctor's office, it's different everywhere, but once you get to a certain week of your pregnancy, you get to have the option of induction. So at my doctor, you got to choose at 39 weeks if you wanted to be induced, just so you didn't have to deal with pregnancy anymore. So, of course, I was like, yes, like, I want that. Why would I suffer more when I can just get this baby out of me? So, my original due date was July 27, 2013. And they had planned my induction on July 24th, 2013. So it was just a couple days before, but I was like, that's a couple of days that, you know, I won't have to wait and I can just get this baby out of me. Yes, let's do it. So, once you hit 37 weeks, like I had, or maybe even 36 because I was high risk, but I had weekly appointments. So on my 38 weeks and 4 days, I had a doctor appointment. Everything was normal. I went in, and just to backtrack a little bit, so for at least a good month or so, I had already dilated to 3 centimeters, which they say that's normal. So I had went in that morning, just a normal checkup, and they were like, you're still at 3, everything looks good, you know, just go home, eat your pineapple, take your baths, whatever. I'll see you at your next appointment, and, you know, we'll go from there, or at the induction, or whatever it was. So I was a little bit bummed out, but I was like, okay, yeah, you know, I'll see you there. Well, on the way home from the doctor's appointment, I was with my dad. We stopped and got lunch, and then we went home to, like, eat. So we do all that, whatever, and while we're eating, I start to get a little bit of contractions, but it's nothing major, so I'm just like, oh, you know, I'm having some pain, but it's fine. So a couple minutes go by, and my dad is setting up this baby swing. Like, I can remember like it's yesterday. Like, he's determined to get this swing together, and I'm just like, okay, like, I'm really contracting now. Like, I couldn't even sit in this rocking chair that I was sitting in. Like, I had to go lay in my bed, and I just remember, like, crying. Like, I'd never been in this pain before. Like, it was so miserable. But, like, my family's the type to be like, oh, like, is she really in pain? Like, she's fine. And I'm just getting so annoyed because he's just, like, doing this baby swing. And I'm like, okay, this is more important. Like, who cares about this swing? So he finally calls my mom, and he's like, you know, what should I do? You know, she's saying she's in pain, you know, blah, blah, whatever. So he's like, well, you should call the doctor. So he calls the doctor, and this is too much. But anyway, long story short, my contractions were 2 minutes apart, and he rushed me to labor and delivery. So all my family came, and this is where things get a little bit emotional. It kind of makes me angry looking back on it, but honestly, it was 6 years ago, and I signed release papers. Like, you have to sign all the papers in the hospital that you won't sue and all this crap. So I really can't hold a grudge forever, and I've honestly just kind of let it go at this point, but still, it's just, no. But anyway, so since I went into labor on my own, I had to have an on-call doctor. And it was a man. Obviously, I didn't know him. He didn't know me, but it was his job. So I was like, okay, you know, I'm fine. Like, you know what you're doing, you know. So, if you guys can't tell, I am a really small girl. Like, I'm just super, super small. When I was pregnant, I only gained 13 pounds. And, like, all of my friends were like, when I looked at you from the back, you couldn't even tell you were pregnant. Like, you had to turn to your side, you know. Like, I was just so small. And Keegan was a really small baby. Like, once he finally came out, he was only 5 pounds, 12 ounces. But, you know, they were like, eventually, when I finally got to 10 centimeters, it was time to push. And at first, you know, obviously, I mean, that's normal. I'm going to try to push this baby out. But eventually, it got to the point where I was straining so much and for so long, because they were just like, you got to push, you know. And then the nurses were accusing me. They were like, you're not even pushing, you're not even trying. And I'm just like, I'm getting pissed pretty much, because I'm like, yes, I am. Like, I can't even breathe because I'm pushing and y'all aren't even giving me a break. So after a while, the doctor tells me, he's like, well, it's a rule here that you have to push for 3 hours before I can even consider a C-section, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's bullcrap. Like, bullcrap. I can understand if, like, you think the woman can push out a baby, but do you guys see me? Like, no. So some more hours roll by, and it was to the point where my mom stopped in the middle of pushing, took this doctor to the hallway, and was like, I don't know what more I need to say to you, but my daughter is not going to be able to push this baby out of her. She's way too small, and the baby's not coming out. So you need to step up and, you know, do something. Like, this is ridiculous. So 3.5 hours later, he finally gave me the option to have a C-section. And, of course, I'm super nervous, but I also know that this baby's not coming out until we do a C-section. So I had to talk with my mom and my dad, and I mean, obviously I had my C-section. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that there. If you guys want a whole story on my pregnancy, my labor and delivery, that's a separate video, but that is enough information to where I'm at today. Doctors, okay, where do I even start? Well, I'm just gonna say this. Doctors can't really put a pinpoint mark on why my life is how it is today, but once I tell you this story, like, I was a perfect happy girl before I had my son, and I know that, like, all that pushing and straining for hours that they made me go through is, like, I mean, it was bad. It was traumatizing. Let me just put it that way. It was absolutely traumatizing. So pretty much right after all of that happened, I was not the same. And this is another disclaimer that this video is going to get TMI. It's going to be talking about bowel movements. It's going to be talking about constipation, nausea, all of that. So, I could just tell that things were not normal. I was not getting bowels out. It didn't matter what laxatives I took. It didn't matter what I did. Like, something was just not right. I was in a lot of pain. I stayed nauseous, and I was like, this is something that, you know, I have to get figured out. So I went to the doctor, and they sent me to a pediatrician GI to start out with. I'm not too sure why, because when I gave birth to my son, I was 19. Hang on just a second. I'm talking so much, my throat's dry. Oh my god, I just spilled it all over me. I'm not even kidding. Okay, so anyway. So yeah, I was 19, but they sent me to this pediatric anyway, so I was just like, okay, you know, video is going to be all over the place. Shoot. Okay, so anyway, I did a colonoscopy with him, and this doctor, obviously I'm not going to put any names in this video, but I could tell from early on that he was a douchebag. Like, he really was. He did not make me feel welcome at all. Like, it was just very weird. So, obviously after my colonoscopy, if you don't know where that is, it's basically where the night before you have to do a liquid diet, drink this stuff that makes you go to the bathroom a lot, and then they go in and, like, test your colon. Anyway, so I had to leave, like, and come back and do my results. Well, when I went back to check on my results, he told me that, he was like, are you sure you did the colonoscopy? Because I don't have your test results. I might have misplaced them. Let me tell you guys, when I say I was heated, I mean, I never went into this doctor's office ever again, and I told him that I wasn't going to redo it, because how are you going to be a doctor, let alone a pediatric doctor for kids, and lose someone's test results? So after that, about a year went by before I met up with another GI. It took 3 years for a GI to finally be able to give my diagnosis, because it is very, very rare. Even when I used to go to the ER a lot, and I'll get into that, doctors would have to Google this because they didn't even know what it was when I said it. That's how rare it is. So, what I have is called colonic inertia. It is basically where my colon is paralyzed. It's not completely paralyzed. Food can get in there and move a little bit, but once it gets to a certain spot, it just stops. I hardly ever have bowel movements. It can take anywhere from 3 weeks to months before I have a bowel movement, and even when I do have one, it's nowhere near a lot, and I'm never empty. So the symptoms of colonic inertia, your stomach hurts very, very bad. It feels like sharp knives are just inside of you and attacking you. You are so nauseous. I'm nauseous, and I'm not even exaggerating, from the time that I open my eyes until the time that I go to sleep. Sometimes I think being nauseous is worse than the pain, just because nobody wants to be nauseous. Like, it just takes a toll on everything. You can be very tired. It can make you just not feel good. And I think the worst part about all of it is, the thing is, this is what people don't understand. You can put on a happy face for the world, and you can do your makeup, and you can do your hair, and put on a cute outfit, and go out and smile. But nobody knows what you're going through, because you're hiding it for everybody. When I first found out I had colonic inertia, it was a lot harder than it is now. And I think a lot of that has to do with, I know that's annoying, but my throat is so dry. I think a lot of that has to do with, I've learned how to hide it a lot more now. When I first found out that I had colonic inertia, I didn't know, like, how to really hide it. I had really bad episodes when I found out. Episodes just one after another. Like, something just triggered. And in the midst of all of it, when you're going to the doctor, they're having you try different things. So your body is just going to react to those things. Some of those things are water intake, which I used to not drink a lot of water, but now I really drink water only unless it's juice. So I guess that helps, but not really. Laxatives, just to give y'all an example, I can drink an entire bottle of Miralax and still not have a bowel movement for days after. There is medication for colonic inertia, but unfortunately my case is so severe that none of the medication works. And if it does work, it'll only last for like a week or two, maybe 3, and then it'll completely stop working again. I've tried to, like, take medication, and then when it stops working, stop, and then take it again. But unfortunately, it just doesn't do what I want. There is a biotin and physical therapy, but let me tell y'all, I've tried everything, and nothing works. I do have a local doctor, like a GI doctor in the city that I'm in Tennessee. But when it comes to, so if you have, some people just have a mild case and that it can be fixed with medication. I know a few girls personally that medication has helped them, and that is so wonderful. I'm happy that they can live a normal life and have something to treat that. But unfortunately for all of us, sometimes when you have such a severe case, then there is an option for surgery, which unfortunately I've had many doctors tell me that they will approve me for surgery. Back in 2017, I drove 10 hours to Philadelphia because I found a really good surgeon. And when you are 25, well, I was 23 at the time, and they're telling you have to take out your whole colon, you don't want just anybody doing that. So, oh gosh, I don't even know. It was January 15th of 2017. Or is it 18? Either way, I was supposed to have surgery, and a few weeks before, I had gotten really, really bad sick with a really bad cough. Actually, I felt fine, but I had like a really, really bad cough. And so when I called Philly to tell them, they had to reschedule my surgery because they can't do anesthesia with you, like, you know, sick. So I was really, really bummed out. I cried a lot because I was finally almost to the finish line. Like, I was so pumped, guys, for surgery. Like, I was just so, so happy. And then once it got rescheduled, I had to go to my family doctor 2 weeks after to see if I was clear to go. And he was like, "You're still not clear. I think you need to reschedule it again." And at this point, I was so bummed out, and I had a lot of family tell me, like, "Oh, you know, this is like signs that you're not supposed to do it. Like, I think you need to think about it, you know, blah, blah, blah." So the third time around, I was clear, but I did want to seek my options, and having surgery 10 hours away just is not very ideal, because if something did go wrong, I just can't get up and go to Philadelphia. So a lot took a role in it, and I ended up going to Nashville, Tennessee, which is 2.5 hours away, to Vanderbilt. They're supposed to be a very high up, you know, hospital, which they are, but unfortunately they do not, like, colonic inertia is not big there. It's not their highest study, and I was not very pleased with the surgeon, so that was out. I've tried a few, but I'm just not dead set on one, and until I am, like, so I used to go to the ER, like I said, a lot because the pain was just unbearable. But the more years and the more months that I have to live with this, it is actually a disease, but I just like to call it an illness. I realized that it's just one of those things that you either have to be miserable every day and just not enjoy life, or you just kind of have to suck up your pride and put a happy face on regardless. And I do have a happy, healthy 6-year-old now, and I never ever want anyone to think like I think it's Keegan's fault, because it's definitely not. It has nothing to do with Keegan and everything to do with the delivery guy. I'm so happy I'm a mom, and if I had to do it all over again to have him, I definitely would, like, hands down. But I mean, I do put on a fake happy face, because it just makes me feel better. Like, you know, some nights I'll come home and my fiance knows how to handle it, and I'll just cry until I fall asleep, just because he knows, like, there's really nothing that he can do or that anyone can do, you know. He'll usually just give me ice chips and tell me everything's okay, rub my head or something, and eventually I'll just cry so much that I'll go to sleep. And some nights that's just how it is, because I can tell everyone all day long, but you really don't know until you live it, because it's an inside thing, and I don't know. But it's definitely gotten better. I will say that you kind of have to pick and choose your battles. When I first found out and I was really nauseous, I didn't want to eat anything, so I would just eat saltine crackers, which I know is really bad, and doctors would get mad at me because I was losing weight. But I was like, you don't live in my shoes, you know, you're not living with the pain. I would rather not eat and be in less pain than eat and, you know, just want to die some days. I mean, not literally, but I mean, it was just so bad. Eating has gotten a lot better. This will be my second year. I no longer eat red meat. I eat fish, turkey, and chicken. Occasionally I will have like a rare steak, but I know my limits, and when I say I eat that rarely, like hardly ever. But sometimes I do like to splurge just because, you know, I mean, again, you have to pick and choose your battles. I kind of know like what to eat and what to stay away from. They had me try a gluten-free diet, but eventually they realized it wasn't working, so I might as well eat it if I want. I try to stay away from dairy, but yeah, it's just something that you kind of learn to live with, since you have no other choice. You figure out what you can and can't do, and that's kind of what you do. I'm sorry I'm moving so much, but I'm sitting on my floor. So yeah, that is my story of how I got this illness. And another disclaimer, I don't want sympathy. I don't need anyone to feel sorry for me or any of that, because like I always tell people, like, I appreciate it, like people praying and being on my side, and I have a lot of people following me on this journey, but at the end of the day, like, people who have sympathy, it doesn't make me feel like any better, you know. So like, I don't want any of that. I just honestly want to share my story, so in hopes that it inspires someone. I hope that this video gets to someone who is living with chronic inertia and can know that they're not alone. Some nights I would cry so much because I was like, I'm the only one with this illness, like, why me? You know, it's so rare. I'm never going to find anyone to talk to who has it, and I don't want anyone to feel alone, because you're definitely not. I suffer every single day, whether I'm smiling or crying. I know what you're going through. Honestly, I do. A couple weeks ago, one of my friends was like, you know, why don't you go on Facebook and add a page, you know, chronic inertia, and maybe you'll find someone who has it. And honestly, like, it's been a life changer ever since. Like, there's so many people out there dealing with the exact same thing and the exact same story, and I don't want anyone to go through this. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but it is so relieving to know that I'm not alone, and there is girls going through this my age with the exact same problems. So it's just nice to know that you aren't alone. And, you know, one day I want to, which there'll be another video of like pregnancy, single mom, raising Keegan by myself, all of that in another video. But I definitely want to get my story out, because when I found out that I was pregnant, I was 18, I was by myself, and I had him at 19. and then got a paralyzed colon from it. So I definitely want to get my story out there. You know, I'm hoping one day, even if it's way past my time, I hope that they finally figure out a cure for colonic inertia, and until then I will be a fighter, a warrior, all of that good stuff. If you are watching this and you have been a supporter, if you have been following my journey, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys so much. This video was a little bit emotional, but it gets you guys to know a little bit more about me. I tried not to make this video too long. I hope it wasn't, but I love you guys. Thank you so much for being part of the TN family, and I will see you guys in my next video. If you have any further questions about colonic inertia or anything about this, then leave a comment down below. Also, remember, if you just say hi in the comments, you will get shouted out in a video. So anyway, guys, I will see you in my next video. Mwah.